This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good morning, Tuscaloosa. Good morning, Tuscaloosa, Internet world, West Alabama. How are we doing today on a Friday? It's a football Friday on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com. Hope you and yours are having a great day. We are right here in the Coleman Coliseum media room after we have just spent a little bit of time at Alabama football practice. And so we are here to talk about what we just saw. I know we're a little later on the day, but had to go out and get some practice action in. The pads are popping. Alabama football is in pads for the first time today. And it was great. We were out there about 10:30 to 10:45 and got to see 3 or 4 periods of Crimson Tide practice. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We'll talk about that, and we'll go back to yesterday and talk about what we heard from Ryan Grubb, what we heard from Jackson Lloyd and Daniel Hill. Today's media session will be with Kane Womack, and we'll have several defensive players. I'm going to assume we're going to have Keon Sabb. We might have Yanzi Pierre, and we'll see what other defensive veterans they make available to the media here in about 30 minutes or so. The program is brought to you by Derek Daniels, State Farm Insurance. Call Derek for all of your insurance needs at 205-758-3391. And we're also brought to you by Purple Turtle Roofing. You can check them out online at roofturtle.com for all their products and services. We appreciate Purple Turtle Roofing and Derek Daniels, State Farm Insurance, for sponsoring the show. You're watching us on the BamaCentral YouTube channel, the BamaCentral Facebook page. You're listening to us on Apple Podcast, Amazon, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. You can find the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral. Still trying to get connected with Theo. He is obviously in Panama, and with the weirder schedule, I'm not sure if he's going to be jumping in and joining us today. He tried to connect to us, but he's out on a golf course and internet a little shoddy, so we'll see if he can get back into the program or not. But if not, that's okay. I've got plenty of things that I want to get into specifically about what I just saw at Alabama football practice. We were out there, like I just said, about 15, maybe 20 minutes. 15, 20 minutes. We saw 3 periods out there, and I spent pretty much all my time, just like I spent yesterday with offensive line and the defensive line. Today, I spent all my time staring at the inside linebackers and the defensive backs, but pretty much mostly the inside linebackers. I spent my time there because I think that is one of the question mark positions on Alabama's defense. I think Alabama's defense is going to be really, really good this season and has all the pieces to be one of the elite defenses in college football, but inside backer, just a little bit of a question. I'm walking off the practice field feeling like it's less of a question because I was really, really impressed with what I saw from Caleb Woodson and then really the rest of the group all the way on down. Look at you. Beautiful man. Theo Fernandez looking great. I told the people you may or may not join us because I didn't really know what your status was. But you're looking good today, Theo. You can follow him at Theo Fernandez _. I'm just rolling into it, Theo. I spent my time today with the inside linebackers and the defensive backs, and I was starting to sing Caleb Woodson's praises. I'll continue to sing it, but good morning, and how are you?
Good morning. Had to make a fashionably late appearance and would love to just sit back and hear about Caleb Woodson, leader of the inside linebackers, and how he did today.
Yeah, so I was pretty impressed with there's only 3 periods, but the pads are back on today. First time of the for fall camp, the pads are on, and it was apparent that it's Caleb Woodson and QB Reese's room, but I think you're fairly deep at inside linebacker. Maybe not deep in experience, but deep in talent, because I really like Caden Jones and Luke Metz as well. And then I think you could even go 3 deep with Abdul Sanders and Duke Johnson. I'm not quite sure that Duke is physically ready. He still kind of looks definitely not skinny because he's not. He's an athlete, but not as bulked up as Luke Metz has gotten over the course of the year here in Tuscaloosa. He doesn't look like he's been as muscled up as maybe as QB has gotten, as Caden Jones has gotten. So I think maybe Duke maybe a little bit further away, still developing physically, but I think you're 2, 4, at least 5 men deep at the inside linebacker position. Caleb Woodson led everybody through the drills. And then, well, he and QB kind of alternated who was leading which drill. They did about 3 or 4 different drills during the periods that we got to see. Caleb leading some and QB leading others. But then when they had both inside linebackers out there at the same time, it was QB and Caleb Woodson. And then the next unit was Caden Jones and Luke Metz. But Caleb Woodson was very vocal. That was the first thing that came out. He was rah-rah, and he was calling out blocks, going different ways. He was very vocal, and I think that's going to be very important to diagnose offensive play. Hey, it's a run. Hey, it's a pass. It's a draw. It's reverse, whatever. You're going to need people talking on defense to diagnose what they see, to communicate to everybody else. And so that was a pretty nice thing to see right off the bat. I thought Chuck Morrell was really, really good at teaching these guys. He saw things quick, very quick. I mean, guys would go through the drill, and it was Caden Jones, good rep, but your hands were a little too wide. Get your hands inside. Or, it was, QB Reese, good rep. Get your left foot in the ground a little quicker when you're turning that edge. He was quick on coaching points. I walk away from the period not as concerned about the inside linebackers as I was going into the season.
That's good to hear. It's interesting. We don't talk about Chuck Morrell much. His job is very different this year compared to last. I mean, the dynamic has to feel completely, entirely foreign almost when you have such a veteran-heavy linebacker room, right? And yeah, sure, you're bringing some guys up to speed within the Alabama program, right? Someone like Nikhil Green. But you're working with a lot of experience. You're working with 3 guys really as your 3 main players who played 5 years, who are in their 5th year of college football, right? Justin Jefferson was they were all in their 5th, yeah. And it's got to just feel, entirely different, like I was saying, coaching these younger guys and knowing that you have to get production out of them.
Yeah, and I think you kind of started that process last year. When this group of freshmen, and really the group of sophomores who are now juniors, the QB Reese and Caden Jones group, I think that there was a pretty big emphasis on those 2 guys. Hey, you're going to need to step up ASAP. And so I think this has been, I start to see 2-year projects all over the field. And we've gone on this theme like maybe this is a 2-year project to look towards 2027. But maybe Chuck Morrell's in the second half of his 2-year project, getting these freshmen and sophomores, now sophomores and juniors, ready to play at inside back here. So I walked away feeling not as concerned about that because I saw good athleticism, I saw good physicality, and I saw attention to detail. Now, they're going to have to put it together on the field, and, live reps, just sometimes things get messed up. But I do think you've got a unit of athletes that have a lot of potential right there at the inside linebacker room.
That's good to hear. And I would, one more note on that position, I would, as of right now, pencil that group in as the position group that will see the most players take significant snaps week 1, week 2, week 3, because I do think, yes, you'll learn a lot throughout practice, especially when the pads fully come on, when you're getting fully integrated into things. But I do think that you're going to want to let, a Sanders get reps in game. You're going to want even someone like Duke Johnson getting some real reps in game. I think we will learn a lot more about this group as the early season progresses.
All right, Theo, I'm not hip, as everybody knows that watches this program or listens to this program, so I need your help as the resident young guy. I want to know if Chuck Morrell made a Bad Bunny reference on the field. We're standing right there, and Luke Metz goes through his drill. He strikes the simulated blocker. He gets off the block, and he wraps up the simulated running back. But he struck that blocking pad pretty hard. I'll give him credit for that. And Chuck Morrell was immediately, oh, yeah, that's violence. That's what we want to see. That's bop, bop. That's a bop, bop play. Bop, 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 bop. And I thought, is that Bad Bunny? Because, I have no idea. And, that's the only – that sound goes – it takes me to one of the Bad Bunny songs. Bop, 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 da, da, da. And I'm that's the only reference I could come up with. And so I'm am I so out of the loop that is it coming from anywhere else? You have any other guesses?
Look, yes, I'm young, Yes, I'm in the nation of Panama right now. I'm not the guy to go to looking for information on Bad Bunny, but I think you've just found yourself a question to ask at Saturday's media day, because I've got nothing there. I've got no help.
Yeah, I'm dead with you. I think that's going to be something I take into Saturday, being like, "What the heck was Chuck? What was he referencing as you were going through that drill?" But I think the group has a lot of potential to be really, really good. Defensive backs were out there, and Carmelo O'Neal was in a black uniform, but appeared to be participating fully. So we'll get an update on that with Kane Womack. But I wouldn't, if you're seeing some of that stuff go into practice reports already, I wouldn't really be that worried about it, because he was taking hits and he was getting hit, or he was hitting and getting hit. So he looked like he was practicing fully in the 3 periods that we got to watch. The other equipment thing that stood out to me that I saw, I don't know if Jamarian Latham is wearing a special helmet or not, or if he is just opting to not go with the Guardian cap. He looked like the only player out there that was not wearing a Guardian cap. And I didn't know if it was a weight issue on his neck, because obviously the neck issue, or if he has some specialized helmet, or if he's got a special, cowboy collar, some sort of thing connecting to his helmet. But that's going to be something, just an interesting thing that I'm going to ask about, how he has come back from his neck injury, and if he's got any sort of special equipment going on with the neck injury. But yeah, it was a short and sweet time with the linebackers and defensive backs.
Yeah, I'm sure Latham's someone who's going to be taking every precaution. So I would have to guess, right? He's doing something. There's some good reason for him to not have the Guardian cap on. And interesting on Carmelo O'Neal, assuming that you are correct, assuming that, not much to worry about, should be fine physically. He is right now one of the guys that I have penciled in to probably have a bigger impact on this team than a lot of people are expecting. You look at how absolutely loaded, how stacked this DB room is, and you wonder how a Mercer transfer is going to get on the field. He was recruited for a very specific reason. He has almost identical physical attributes to Dijon Lee, and I think somebody with that same stature, with that same build, well, you need to replace Dijon Lee for a snap or two. Here's your guy. You plug him in right here. It's Carmelo O'Neal. So that's maybe, I'm excited to hear. I'm sure his name will be brought up by some of his teammates, and we'll get some actual information on him. But he's one of those guys that I think maybe get a little familiar with if you're not, because we could see him have a bigger role than we expect.
All right, so I want to take you back to yesterday's show just a little bit, and let's go through some of these comments, because we do appreciate everybody who commented on the program, on the BamaCentral YouTube channel, Facebook, wherever you found the show, you can comment. But Patrick Trotter wanted to remind us that Austin Mack is as talented as Keelan Russell, and went on about Cam Metzger's voicemail. If Keelan was only 6'1", would that matter? My problem is he's 200 pounds. If he gets hit, he's going to get destroyed. Plus, he's young. It's going to be one or two games. It's going to be 1 or 2 games if he starts to play. Alabama is going to lose because of turnovers. All right, so that's from Patrick Trotter. You can respond to that in just a second. The other one worth responding to, James Nide said, at least you two knuckleheads talked some about Mal Waldrop. Question, do you know who 65 is? Do you know what kind of talent he has? You need some help? You could go on 10 of these shows and never hear him. He's talking about Tyrell Miller. Why? And they said, and boys, Corey Howard is not going to be in the inside defensive line rotation. I must not have been very clear with the Corey Howard piece. It surprised me to see him that early in the line. I have no expectation for him in 2026. It just surprised me to see him that early in the line. Was really my point yet with that. And Tyrell Miller, great point, shouting him out. JUCO transfer from California. But you've already given the left tackle job to Jackson Lloyd. Are you, as our commenter, and I appreciate your comment, please jump in and join us again, but are you suggesting that Tyron Miller is a right tackle candidate along with Nick Brooks and Nick Brooks and Javen James? If that's the case, then great, because I don't really think that much of Javen James. I'll just be honest. And so more bodies in that room that can challenge him, I think the better. I am in the Nick Brooks camp, but I think Tyrell Miller has a lot to like, plays with good technique, and is experienced, giving you some college football experience. So I appreciate that comment as well. And then the last comment, Theo, to address is Brian Green, a little less coffee, please. Sorry, Brian. The coffee is life. So we always try to bring the energy. Theo, is Austin Mack as talented as Keelan Russell? And are you worried about Keelan Russell's weight?
Look, if you guys are listening to this show and not expecting energy, what are we doing? We're going to bring it every day, especially as we get close. Like the low energy shows, you had your chance to listen May, June. We're kind of just rolling in. No, we're active. We're ready to go. I like the Tyrell Miller call out, first of all. He's definitely someone that it's easy to look. Oh, JUCO transfer. Yeah, depth piece. We don't know. There's so much competition going on. So, yeah, I don't write anyone off right now. But, yeah, let's diving in to Austin Mack, Keelan Russell. The take of the comment, my Wi-Fi was a little spotty in the very beginning, but it was basically that Keelan Russell losing Alabama games with turnovers. Was that the gist of it?
Yes, turnovers, and that he is too small to play, to play all 12 games. Did you hear Ryan Grubb, though, yesterday? Ryan Grubb, what area have both players improved in the most? He said Keelan Russell, protecting the football. Austin Mack, better outside the pocket.
I mean, that's exactly where you'd want each of those guys, first of all, to be improving, right? And that's the exact answer you want to hear. I don't like I think that it's a somewhat lazy take on Keelan Russell. And look, there's a very good shot that you throw the freshman in there. And yes, he commits turnovers. There's a very good shot that you throw the smaller QB in there. And yes, he gets injured. But I feel as though the people making those assumptions are making them purely off of the fact that he's a freshman, purely off of the fact that he's a little undersized. If we're not you're not looking at Keelan Russell's high school tape, right? And saying, oh man, if he does this thing, this is going to lead to the turnovers. This is the flaw in his game. And if you can identify that, because I haven't seen that flaw. If someone can identify that flaw and point it out, sure, we can have that conversation. But the fact of the matter is this is an uber talented quarterback. This is somebody who I believe is going to be a superstar. And I'm not just going to – I don't see the benefit in saying, oh, he's a freshman, he's bound to commit a bunch of turnovers. Because, yes, there is some inexperience. Austin Mack has basically the same amount of experience as him. I mean, come on. I have to keep bringing us back to this point that just because Austin Mack is 2 calendar years older than Keelan Russell doesn't necessarily mean he's going to go out there as that much more of a polished QB. I think that in the name of trying to create a QB battle, which there is a QB battle, but I think we have widened the gap a little bit further than it probably naturally should be, just to make sure that we are giving, the Austin Mack camp something to fall into, right? If that makes sense. So I don't really agree.
Is this all Elite 11's fault? Because Keelan Russell went to Elite 11 as like a fringe 3-star, fringe 4-star recruit. He was right on that 3-4-star recruit. He goes to Elite 11, and because you remember, who was it? Matt Moscona down in Baton Rouge. Alabama getting a 3-star quarterback, flipping from SMU. That whole deal, right? And he goes to Elite 11 and dominates, wins Elite 11. And then, so you're starting to think about, wow, what other quarterbacks have won Elite 11? And you start looking through and their talent, and you think about, because Bryce didn't win Elite 11, right? Bryce was second, right? I think he was second. And so you start thinking about Alabama quarterbacks, and 6A state champion 2 years in a row. It's like you've got all these accolades, and where are the accolades for Austin Mack? Because they're just the high school resume is just not near as deep. And so you're just looking at, you're comparing resumes and you're comparing highlight films, and I think there's just more highlight film. There's more. There's a longer resume for Keelan Russell, and so people, I think, generally think, oh, well, it's obviously got to be Keelan Russell.
Okay, but Keelan Russell also, he completely backed up all of the Elite 11 stuff in his senior year of high school.
Sure,
he genuinely showed the improvement, and obviously he did it at a very different level of high school football compared to Austin Mack. There are so many layers to this QB battle, and it is such a fascinating one to follow.
Austin Mack didn't even play his senior year. He reclassified, right? His junior year, Folsom High School, 3,500 yards, 3,498, 3,500 yards, 40 touchdowns, 5 picks. Sacramento B large school player of the year. So, like, are we just knocking him because he didn't have a high school season? Didn't have a senior season to add more accolades? He just went right into Washington to sit on the bench and start learning this playbook?
Maybe. That's a very fair take. I mean, I think it's one look at the amount of time he's spent with Kalen DeBoer, right? And that is objectively in every way, shape, and form a positive, right? The amount of time he's familiar with DeBoer, Grubb, this system. But then I also look at that and I say, okay, you didn't win the job last year in what was, I think, a battle that you weren't expected to win. Regardless, you didn't win it. And I think fans sometimes, it's easy to just look at Austin Mack as, oh, that's Ty Simpson's backup. That is a consolation. That is, a step down from these Bama QBs we're used to. And I'm not the highest on Austin Mack, but I do think there may be some unfair narratives associated with it.
So we'll keep watching this quarterback competition as it unfolds. What did you make of yesterday? Is Ryan Grubb, was he just giving himself an out or giving himself more time? I got asked this morning on the radio when I think a starter is going to be determined. Take you back last year, Ty Simpson has the first scrimmage. It's basically the night of the first scrimmage that he gets named the starting quarterback. Yesterday, Ryan Grubb said, I think we'll probably use both scrimmages, take them both this season to determine the starting quarterback. Was he just giving himself extra room, or do you think he really thinks this is going to last all the way till August 20?
I think the odds of that are very likely. I think, first of all, it's the safe answer, right? It's the good, because then, when scrimmage 1 comes and you don't have a starter named, everyone starts clamoring, where's the starter? But no, now you've given yourself some insurance, right? Some padding. But I really do think this battle is close, Joe. And I'm still leaning towards Russell, but I do think that you're gonna want to see as much as possible from these two guys. And I also think that really, no matter what happens, you're going to see these guys both in the first game. There's a good chance you see one of them in the fourth quarter against Kentucky enter the game. We're a long way away from closure on this QB battle, in my opinion.
Well, we will see, and we'll try to extrapolate more information from the coaching staff and players over the next few weeks as we cover fall camp. I'm going to get out of here for the day and go over to hear from Kane Womack and some defensive players. So we'll get to talk about Devin Tompkins, Terrence Green. I'm going to ask if Jamarian Latham's wearing a special helmet, and we're going to try to get some of our questions answered about this Alabama defense with Kane Womack here in a minute. We will obviously not have a show on Saturday, but we will have a lot of media hitting the BamaCentral YouTube channel. It's going to be media days, and there's going to be a lot of players being made available to us, and so you'll have interviews and videos from that on the BamaCentral YouTube channel. We'll have more practice viewing Monday and Tuesday, and then it'll kind of be starting to settle into a normal schedule, and then one more practice viewing the following week, and we will be fully into what will be East Carolina prep. So I appreciate everybody watching us this week. Theo, anything you want to leave the people? Any final thoughts, any questions you think we should think about over the weekend, or you just flying back next week, right?
Yeah, I'll be back in next Thursday, and I'm excited, man. And this week has been such a breath of fresh air. It's been great. We have new stuff to react to every single day. We're living the dream right now, Joe.
Absolutely. So follow Theo Fernandez at Theo Fernandez _ on the Twitter machine. Myself at Joe Gaither 6. You can find us all at BamaCentral. Katie Wyndham, Hunter DeCiver have already got our practice report on BamaCentral.com. When Kane Womack talks here in just a moment, we will respond and we'll be writing about it right here on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com.